Hi, I'm Bob Bretell and I am the photo tipster. Today I'm going to demonstrate light modifiers. So you may ask, what is a light modifier and why would I even use one? When you shoot in direct sun, you have a lot of contrast, usually too much contrast to get a pleasing picture. So what you need to do is reduce the contrast. What this means is that if you are exposing for the highlights, say at f22, your midtones and your shadows are going to be way too dark. And if you expose for your shadows, say at f4 or even 5.6, your highlights and your midtones are going to be much too bright. And your highlights might even just completely blow out with no detail at all. So what these diffusers do is they reduce the contrast and help you retain detail in both the shadows and in the highlights. Directly above me is what we call a light diffuser. And a light diffuser is really nothing more than a piece of translucent fabric. Usually it's made of white nylon and it's stretched over a wire frame. They're very inexpensive. In fact, this one cost under $50. They're very lightweight, and because of their portability, I use them everywhere I go, especially outdoors. Now let me show you what it's going to look like when I take away the diffuse. So here we have diffuse and we have no diffuse. You can see huge difference. A lot brighter, and it may look good to you and I, but when you try to photograph it in direct sun, you're going to find that the highlights are very bright and the shadows are very dark. The diffuser helps reduce the contrast and it gives you much improved tonality. So once again, now we have the diffuse. You can see there's a lot more tonality. The darks are not so dark, the highlights are not so bright. Okay, so that's what a diffuser does. Now a reflector does really the same thing, only in a different way. Instead of diffusing the sunlight, which goes in between the sun and your subject, a reflector reflects the light. This particular reflector is a two-sided reflector, white on one side, silver on the other. So if you want a nice soft subtle effect, you use the white side. If you want something more spectral, you use the silver. They both have their applications and I'm going to show you just how they work. Okay, so right now we've still got the beautiful light coming from the diffuse onto the flower, and in reality you don't need any extra light on it. But I want to show you, if I wanted to further soften the rose, I could add a little bit more diffused light by reflecting it into the shot using my reflector. And I'm using the white side of the reflector, not the silver. Okay, so there you have without and there you have with. Not a big difference. Another technique that I use with the silver side, which is much brighter, much more spectral light, I'm going to use the silver reflector as a very, very dramatic backlight. If you don't have an assistant with you, you're going to have to rely on another stand. But here's how it works. By the way, don't look directly into this reflected light or else you'll have permanent eye damage. Okay, so you can see what's happening with the flower now. So we've got very, very spectral backlight reflecting from the sun, hitting the silver, and illuminating the flower from behind, and it works really well with flowers that have large translucent petals like roses or begonias. Anything where the light actually passes through the flower and it almost makes it glow. So that's using the silver side of the reflector in combination with the nice softening effect of the diffuser. So you put the two together and you get a really, really great shot. Light diffusers and reflectors are indispensable, especially if you're shooting outdoors on a sunny day. If you haven't tried one already, when you do, I guarantee that your photographs will improve dramatically. So I hope this little tutorial has been helpful to you. I'm Bob Bretell. Keep on shooting.